Dal and rice in some dim past, but it's dim sums now. Elephant rides have given way to flyovers, and how? Things are changing, yet not changing, in Kolkata city. From my spot on this dome, there's so much I can see. All those tales I'll tell you now. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Once it was Photoshop, now they're making memes. My age is 3 or 400, with 1,000 themes. But though the girl's a decent sort, who knows what she'll say or not. So I thought I'd come myself. We'll make a perfect team.
Behold this character, ladies and gentlemen. He used to wander around the spot where all of you are sitting now.
It's a long way from Jurassic Park to Park Street. If that's where you want to begin, it'll take a 52-episode serial to get to mobile phones. I suggest you start with the familiar black and white.
How about this then, sir? A car speeds out of 38/2 Elgin Road on the night of January 16th, 1941 and drives straight into the Bengali soul.
No, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was already a resident of Kolkata. Don't forget,
কালকেরটা বাংলায় ছিল, কালকেরটা বাংলায় ছিল, মঙ্গল বৃহস্পতি শুক্র বাংলায়, বুধ আর শনিটা মনে হয় ইংলিশ আর হিন্দি মনে হয় রবিবার।
3 or 4 different disguises. That was a pure thriller. On top of which, he's quite literally immortal. Kolkata hasn't had another superhero like him.
Indeed. Perhaps you would care to tell me then who Kolkata's greatest villain is?
In that case, I'm going to name someone who has no name.
No name. Meaning?
Over 6 months in 1989, an unknown person murdered 13 homeless people sleeping on the streets at night. The media named him or her the Stone Man.
Imagine starting with something so morbid. If you ask me, I think the greatest villain is Amitabh Bachchan.
Amitabh Bachchan? Why?
Isn't it obvious, sir? He worked in Kolkata, he acted on stage in Kolkata, but when it comes to films, he chose to go away to Mumbai. Why? Couldn't he have joined Bangla films instead? He'd have made such a romantic hero.
By that logic, even Cliff Richard spent his childhood in Kolkata. Or in Howrah. He was such a wonderful singer, wasn't he? Had he stayed back, he could have been the one to start Jeevanmukhi Gaan instead of Shubham Chatterjee.
Oh, but wait! Wasn't Pele in Kolkata too? And Lionel Messi? He too, right?
Look, I'm warning you. Don't you make fun of football.
The daring young men of Mohan Bagan Club defeated the British team East Yorkshire Regiment 2-1 in the IFA Shield final. Just imagine! The country is ruled by the British, and here's a team composed entirely of Indians beating a British team. 1911 shines brightly in Kolkata's history.
Really? But the Indian capital was taken away to Delhi that same year, wasn't it? I was the capital for 139 years before that. The so-called single most important city of British India.
Oh, but that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a matter of pride, in fact. The British just couldn't take the heat of the freedom movement in Kolkata anymore. So they decided to break Bengal into 2 halves in 1905. Lord Curzon was so rattled, he wrote in a letter that steps must be taken to dethrone Calcutta from its place as the center of successful intrigue. Don't you remember? It was here that the Nationalist Indian Association was founded under Surendranath Banerjee's leadership. The All India National Conference was set up here too, which gave birth to the Congress. No wonder the British used to call Surendranath Surrender Not. And they failed. They couldn't even partition Bengal as they had planned because of all the protests.
Yes, that is why they shifted the capital 6 years later in a fit of rage.
But you know what this proves? That you're a pulsating city, a living city, a city that raises its voice against what's wrong.
Right. Which would one day be mockingly called the city of processions, and even a dying city.
Never mind. People call you City of Joy too, don't they? And isn't it true that in the British era, you are known as the second city of the empire? Your place was just after London's.
All that was only for money. Tax collections and jute sales alone yielded millions of rupees for them.
I don't understand you, sir. If Kolkata is criticized, you seem the angriest man on the planet. But when it's praised, you're the first to say nasty things. I think all you want is an argument.
Arguing is in my blood. Do you know why the first censorship laws in India were made? Well, let me tell you. When Girish Ghosh set up the National Theatre in this very city in 1872, his first production was Dinabandhu Mitro's Neel Darpan. 3 years later, the group was touring the entire country. The play was being staged in Lucknow that evening. There was a scene in which Indian peasants begin to beat up the brutal indigo plantation owner, with good reason, of course. Do you know what happened then? The British soldiers in the audience went on a rampage on the stage, destroying everything. The very next year, when the Prince of Wales visited Kolkata, the group promptly staged a satire about the grand welcome he was accorded, followed by another one about the cruel police commissioner. That was it. It was time for the dramatic performance act, the censor's sword.
If you're sensible, you'll be censored, my dear sir.
Look at James Hickey. He published India's first newspaper from this very city, the Bengal Gazette, in 1870. Do you know, he even printed articles mercilessly criticizing the activities of Lady Hastings, just like all your little magazines nowadays, which denounce the establishment constantly.
These protests, this venting of anger, this mocking of the authorities, all of this must be boiling in your belly all the time. No wonder the people of Kolkata have such bad livers.
There's nothing wrong with our livers or with our cantilevers. Howrah Bridge is a cantilever bridge, isn't it? It's been there since 1943, in perfect condition.
I have to agree there. Thousands of cars, buses, trucks have been driving across it every single day, but not a dent anywhere. And I can never get over the fact that this is a bridge without a single screw.
That explains why those who have a screw loose often climb to the top of the Howrah Bridge. But my God, can you imagine the view?
Oh, please. Are you seriously asking me? Haven't I been balancing here on top of Victoria Memorial for almost 100 years now? Have you any idea the things I can see? Couples in love, people up to no good, experimental art in the Academy of Fine Arts, all the money being blown up at the race course. And over on the other side, those babus in suits impersonating Englishmen. You want to teach me views and news? I know you inside out, Kolkata Babu.
Not only do you know me, I'm certain you've been infected by me too. I mean, look at you. Sometimes you spin madly up there when it gets gusty. Other times you're an old lady with gout rooted to the spot. Why, even this building you're so proud of is sometimes dismissed as a mere copy of the Taj Mahal. And wait, wasn't it blacked out with cow dung so that the Japanese couldn't bomb it? Cow dung.
There's nothing to laugh at. It's not like your face hasn't been blackened with shame either. Where was all your outrage when thousands of people were dying of starvation on your streets during that same Second World War? People would step over them daintily to go to work and to meet their friends. At home, they would put on the gramophone to drown the loud cries begging for scraps.
Well, I admit it. Many things that ought to have been done were not done. But I will have you know, it's also true that free kitchens were opened in every neighborhood of Calcutta. Besides, the famine was a creation of the government, of politicians and bureaucrats. Winston Churchill cannot evade responsibility for the death of so many people. Do you know what he said about them? The starvation of anyhow underfed Bengalis is less serious than that of sturdy Greeks. How could he? Don't forget either that Nobanu, Bijan Bhattacharya's brilliant play about the famine, was staged in this very city.
Well, yes, I'll give you that. Leftist artists created the Indian People's Theatre Association, or IPTA as everyone called it, just a year earlier in 1942. I cannot even begin to count the number of jewels it produced in Kolkata. Nobanu was just one of them. So many other memorable songs, plays, films, Utpal Datto and Jyotirindranath Moitro, Debabrata Bishwas and Sholil Chaudhary. All of them were dazzling diamonds from the IPTA mines, while Mrinal Sen was its spiritual disciple. So inspiring, using art as a weapon to transform society, to galvanize thousands of people with excellence and passion. It was like the chariot leading a magical revolution, traveling tirelessly.
The famine of 76, known as Chiattor and Monontor, which took place about 170 years before the one of 1943, was man-made too. That one was also created by the British, who were cruelly squeezing people for taxes and sowing opium and indigo in rice fields. Then too, millions of helpless people perished right here in my arms. What could I have done? I only watched in silence. If only there had been an IPTA then.
You are a strange one, sir. Sometimes you were wide awake, and then at other times you seemed fast asleep. Which of these two states were you in when the 19th century Babus were squandering their riches on the weddings of their pet cats, when they were bathing in rose water? Were you half asleep? Were you dozing?
আমারে ফ্রড করে প্রাণ কৃষ্ণ কোথায় গেলি আমারে ফ্রড করে প্রাণ কৃষ্ণ কোথায় গেলি I am sorry, very sorry, I am sorry, very sorry আমার
What do you know of it? I had so much fun. Here are these people oiling themselves profusely and then riding off in a 4-horse carriage to bathe in the river. What reckless glamour. And look, if the Babus didn't go overboard, where would the commercials of the Baiji's dance have been, huh? Or for that matter, the schools and colleges they started? Even my most beautifully illuminated festival, the Durga Puja, would not have come into
হাত
being.
হচ্ছে না আর করতে হয় পুরো ভিডিও করবি না
Durga Puja would not have happened? Why not, sir?
Obviously, you don't know that it was Babu Nobu Krishna Dev
Sorry.
of Shobha Bajar who donated large sums of money to set up madrasas, to build roads, to have musicians brought in from all over the country for elaborate concerts. He not only participated in the conspiracy against Siraj-ud-Dawla in the Battle of Plassey, but also organized a magnificent Durga Puja to commemorate the victory. This was the event which put the Durga Puja so prominently on our calendars.
Are you telling me that the man who started the idea of the big fat Durga Puja was the one who wanted to hand Bengal over to the British?
Of course, Bengal would not have fallen into British hands had Siraj-ud-Dawla not attacked me with a huge army in 1756. If he had not pounded the East India Company's forces into submission, the British wouldn't have dared declare war on a Nawab.
I feel they would still have declared war. Just that the proper nouns would have been different. They're not a race to give up without taking control. The wheels began to turn as soon as the company's agent, Job Chanak, moored his boat here on August 24th, 1690, amidst torrential rain, and your history began to take shape.
What you said is wrong on not one but two counts. Firstly, Kobi Konkon Mukundaram had written about me long before Chanak came into the picture. In fact, I was present even earlier in Bipradash Pipilai's Monoshamongol verses of 1495. Shabur Nurai Chaudhury's family were the zamindars of Calcutta well before the advent of the British. So, my history does not begin there. Secondly, can you say things necessarily took a turn for the worse with Charnock's arrival? No, you cannot. Ram Mohan Roy put an end to the practice of sati, but would he have succeeded without the assistance of Lord Bentinck? Would Michael Madhusudhan Dotto have changed the direction of Bengali poetry had he not read Milton? Would Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay have written the first novel in Bangla if he had not been familiar with Walter Scott? Would Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar have been able to introduce widow remarriage without the support of the British?
What kind of nonsense is this? May I remind you of some scenes from your own history? How can you forget that thousands of people lined your streets to shower martyr Khudiram Boshu's dead body with flowers? Or that Binoy, Badol and Dinesh killed themselves after assassinating a tyrannical British officer in Writers' Building? Why, one of your most renowned barristers, Chittaranjan Das, used to have his clothes laundered in Paris, but the same person burnt all his western wear and began to dress in khadi. The man he defended successfully in the Alipur bomb case was none other than the poet of patriotism, Aurobindo Ghosh. For heaven's sake, sir, you are the city where the revolutionary organization Anushilon Shomiti was born.
ভারতবাসী একবার বিদায় দে মা ঘুরে আসি একবার বিদায় দে মা ঘুরে আসি
But of course, after all, the monument was erected in 1828 in memory of Commander David Ochterlony to commemorate the East India Company's victory in 2 battles, wasn't it? But just imagine, its name was actually changed to Shahid Minar in 1969 when it was dedicated to the martyrs in India's War of Freedom. You don't have to be so angry, though. I was only wondering.
You know, this is armchair punditry. What if this? What if that? What if lions and tigers had prowled the streets of Kolkata?
That's not exactly speculation. The Bengal tiger is famous. And he did, in fact, live in Calcutta. He took charge of Calcutta University in 1907, 50 years after it was established in 1857. And he transformed it completely. He is none other than Sir Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay.
And what of the lion?
The lion? We also call him the Shingho, don't we? So, what about Kali Prashanna Sena or Kali Prashanna Shingho, who not only translated the Mahabharata, but also wrote Uttam Pachar Noksha about me?
Right. And rhinos? What about them?
Oh, the rhinos. They are the ones whose skins could not be penetrated by the teachings of Kolkata's great men. They abused Ram Mohan Roy. And as for Vidyashagar, they made up satirical songs about him and sang them everywhere, which he tolerated, as it happens.
Personally, I think these are the precise things that demonstrate how far ahead of the times these great men were. Vivekananda had to hear that he was no sage, for he visited the land of Christians and ate meat. And yet, it was he who made India proud with his speech in Chicago, right? His Guru Ramakrishna was even told he was illiterate. But he attracted the best minds with his natural wisdom and deep knowledge of religion. It was he who said, Joto mot, toto pot. There are as many methods as there are viewpoints. He was referring not just to different faiths, but also to the philosophy of Kolkata's flowing life.
We don't care for criticism. Even Rabindranath Tagore had to take it. Apparently, all his writings are convoluted, and he founded Shantiniketan with unclear intentions, etc., etc. But his Nobel Prize is still the first line of my poetry of pride. I may have been displaced from the status of India's capital city in 1911, but just 2 years later came a crown whose luster is never to be diminished. The Nobel Committee said, Rabindranath Tagore is being awarded the prize because of his profoundly sensitive, fresh and beautiful verse. He was the first Indian to get the Nobel.
Oh, can you imagine? 6 Nobel laureates from one city and in 5 different fields at that?